She's just not good enough for this organization. The words slice through the conference room like a blade. I freeze outside the mahogany-framed glass wall, my coffee cup trembling in my hand. 6 department heads lean back in their leather chairs, nodding in silent agreement. Their casual dismissal feels like a physical blow to my chest. For 4 years, I've sacrificed everything for this consulting firm. My evenings, my relationships, my peace of mind. Yet here they sit, discussing my professional execution as if I were just another line item on a spreadsheet. Then the unexpected happens. The managing partner walks in unannounced, 2 days early from his European trip. "Who's not good enough?" he asks, scanning the room with sharp eyes. "The analyst who just secured our biggest client retention in 5 years?" The temperature drops. My direct supervisor's confident smile falters. "Why isn't she in this meeting?" he demands, looking around the table. Nobody moves. Nobody speaks. What they don't realize is that I'm positioned exactly where I plan to be. Hidden but watching, documenting every betrayal, every nod of agreement. The final pieces of a carefully constructed puzzle clicking into place. Before I reveal how this moment became my vindication, you need to understand the complete story. Stay with me until the end, because what unfolds after this meeting doesn't just change my career, it transforms an entire corporate culture. The justice I've orchestrated isn't quick or simple. It's something far more satisfying. And honestly, you'll want to hear how a woman they underestimated for years finally makes them pay without losing her soul in the process. My name is Kate Morrison. At 29, I'm a business analyst with an unusual gift for seeing inefficiencies that others overlook. I can spot a process flaw in a 1,000-page report that senior consultants would declare flawless. This ability made me invaluable at my previous boutique firm, where I helped streamline operations for Fortune 500 companies. When Richmond & Associates recruited me, I was thrilled. This prestigious consulting firm represented the pinnacle of my field. The opportunity to work with blue-chip clients and shape major business decisions felt like destiny calling. My interviewer, Director Leonard Hartwell, seemed genuinely impressed by my track record. "We need fresh thinking," he told me across his corner office's mahogany desk. "Someone who challenges the status quo." His enthusiasm felt authentic, his references to my innovative approaches encouraging. The floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown suggested someone secure in his position, confident enough to value disruptive ideas. My first 8 months exceeded everyone's expectations. I identified operational redundancies that saved our largest client $2.3 million annually. I developed a risk assessment framework that prevented 3 potential project disasters. The team celebrated these victories, and Leonard made sure to acknowledge my contributions during monthly reviews. But success has a way of breeding envy. The shift began subtly, like a hairline crack in a foundation that gradually widens into structural damage. It started with a client presentation I'd spent weeks perfecting. After reviewing it privately with Leonard, he suggested some refinements before we shared it with the client. When the presentation was delivered the following week, it bore Leonard's name as primary author. My insights had been repackaged as his strategic vision. My research became his innovative methodology. When I mentioned this discrepancy privately, his response was dismissive. "Kate, we're a collaborative environment here. Ideas evolve through team input." I simply synthesized various contributions into a coherent narrative. His tone made me question my own memory. Was I being territorial? Perhaps this was normal at larger firms. 3 weeks later, the pattern repeated. I developed a cost reduction strategy for a manufacturing client, complete with implementation timelines and risk mitigation plans. Leonard assigned Trevor, a junior associate, to review my work. 2 weeks later, my strategy was presented to the client as a joint initiative led by Leonard with significant analytical support from Trevor. The theft became increasingly brazen. Every solution I developed faced the same fate: diluted, repackaged, or outright claimed by others. My requests for advancement were met with vague concerns about my leadership presence, despite my proven track record of client results. During my annual review, I finally confronted the issue directly. "I feel my contributions aren't being properly attributed," I told Leonard, keeping my voice steady despite my racing heart. He leaned back in his executive chair, his expression practiced and neutral. "Kate, Recognition comes to those who demonstrate strategic thinking beyond pure analysis. Your technical skills are solid, but your recommendations often lack the broader business context that clients expect. When they succeed, it's usually because others have provided that strategic framework. The gaslighting was masterful and infuriating. Can you provide specific examples of how my recommendations lacked business context? I asked. His answer revealed everything about his character. That's not how professional development works, Kate. We don't dissect every iteration of an idea. The point is that successful client solutions require senior-level strategic oversight. Strategic oversight, a euphemism for intellectual theft. That evening, I started keeping meticulous records. Every idea, every email, every conversation. Not yet for revenge, but for my own sanity, to confirm I wasn't imagining the systematic erasure of my contributions. The breaking point arrived during the annual performance cycle. Despite having personally saved our clients over $4 million in operational costs, I received a meets expectations rating. Meanwhile, 2 colleagues with lesser achievements received promotions to senior analyst positions. That night, driving home through the rain, something crystallized within me. This wasn't just about recognition anymore. This was about justice, and ensuring no one else would suffer the same systematic suppression. 2 weeks later, while analyzing quarterly client retention data, I discovered something alarming. Our consulting recommendations were showing delayed failure patterns. Projects we declared successful were quietly unraveling 6 to 12 months later, costing clients millions in additional fixes and lost opportunities. The root cause was clear: our rush to implement solutions without proper long-term analysis. When I brought these findings to Leonard, his reaction was predictably dismissive. You're overthinking normal business cycles, Kate. Our client satisfaction scores are within industry standards. The standard is the problem, I insisted. These failures happen after our contract periods end, so clients don't associate the problems with our solutions. We're damaging relationships and losing repeat business. He drummed his fingers impatiently on his desk. Kate, I appreciate your concern, but we have quarterly targets to meet. Let's focus on the deliverables we've already committed to. Walking away from his office, I made my decision. I would solve this problem, but this time, I wouldn't hand him the solution on a silver platter. For the next 4 months, I worked evenings and weekends developing a comprehensive solution. I created a predictive analytics model that could identify potential failure points in our recommendations before implementation. I developed new evaluation criteria that would catch long-term sustainability issues. Most importantly, I designed a client follow-up protocol that would maintain engagement beyond contract completion. I tested my theories using company resources during off hours when the office was empty. The results were undeniable. My model could predict project failures with 87% accuracy, and my modified processes eliminated most risk factors while actually reducing implementation time. Instead of presenting this internally, I submitted my findings to the National Business Analytics Conference under the category of Emerging Methodologies. I presented the work as a theoretical framework without naming Richmond and Associates. An industry veteran named Patricia Chambers immediately recognized the practical value and approached me after the session. "This isn't theoretical, is it?" she asked quietly as other attendees filtered out. I maintained my professional composure. All theoretical models have real-world applications. Would you be interested in discussing this privately? I have some thoughts that might benefit your organization. Patricia turned out to be a senior consultant who worked directly with Richmond's executive committee. After confirming my position and the validity of my research, she proposed bringing my solution directly to senior management, bypassing Leonard entirely. "If what you're describing is accurate, this could revolutionize how consulting firms ensure long-term client success," she said. "Why hasn't this been raised through internal channels?" I explained the pattern of behavior without emotion, sticking to documented facts. Patricia listened intently, occasionally taking notes. "Unfortunately, this isn't uncommon in our industry," she finally said. "But it is preventable. Are you willing to trust me with this information? I believe I can ensure proper attribution this time." It was a calculated risk, but one worth taking. I shared my complete research with Patricia, including implementation frameworks and case studies. She promised to present it to Richmond's leadership within the week. What happened next exceeded my most optimistic projections. The executive committee implemented my methodology immediately, attributing it to confidential internal research pending full verification. Within 2 months, early indicators showed dramatic improvements in client satisfaction and project sustainability. Leonard became increasingly hostile. He assigned me to mundane data entry tasks, excluded me from client meetings, and began suggesting I might be better suited for a more junior role at a smaller firm. Patricia kept me informed of developments at the executive level. They're incredibly impressed with the methodology, she told me during a discreet coffee meeting. They're also asking pointed questions about why something this significant had to come through external channels. I continued gathering evidence, now with renewed purpose. I documented every instance of attribution theft, collected witness statements from colleagues who'd observed the pattern, and maintained perfect performance on my assigned tasks to give Leonard no legitimate grounds for criticism. Then came the strategy meeting, the one I was conspicuously excluded from. Patricia had warned me it was coming. Leonard has proposed eliminating your position as redundant, she said. Be prepared. So I positioned myself where I could observe through the glass partition, my phone recording everything in my jacket pocket. I watched as 4 years of dedication were casually dismissed by people who had profited from my work. And then, right on schedule, managing partner Harrison Reed walked in. Now, as executives shift uncomfortably in their leather chairs, I remain perfectly still, observing the scene I helped orchestrate. Harrison places a thick folder on the conference table. Inside are documents proving my contributions, evidence Patricia has been helping me compile for months. I'd like everyone to review these materials, Harrison says, his voice cutting through the tension. Then we'll discuss why one of our most innovative analysts. Click the notification bell so you don't miss the conclusion, because what happens next will change how you think about corporate justice forever. The executives flip through the documentation, expressions shifting from confusion to alarm. Some glance toward me, suddenly aware of my presence outside the glass. Leonard's face drains of color as he processes the evidence. Timestamps of my original submissions matched against his later presentations, witness statements from team members, system logs showing my after-hours research. This appears to be a misunderstanding, Leonard says, his voice carrying through the partially open door. Kate is talented analytically, but these methodologies required significant strategic refinement before client presentation. My role was to make her technical concepts commercially viable. Harrison raises his hand. The implementation data contradicts that narrative, Leonard. The deployed methodology matches her original documentation with 94% fidelity. The timeline also raises serious questions. Why did this breakthrough come through external channels rather than your department's established processes? Leonard adjusts his tie nervously. Sometimes formal channels can slow innovation. I was planning to develop these concepts further once I had adequate resources. Harrison's expression remains neutral, but his voice sharpens. According to Ms. Morrison's performance reviews, you've consistently rated her strategic thinking as inadequate for senior-level work. Yet this methodology she developed independently is being praised by our most demanding clients. The tension thickens. I remain motionless, a silent witness to the systematic dismissal I've endured being exposed. Harrison turns to the group. I'd like everyone except Leonard to step out for 20 minutes. Please use this time to review these materials thoroughly. As executives file past me, their eyes avoid mine. Some look genuinely shocked, others embarrassed by their complicity. I move away from the door, maintaining composure despite the emotions surging through me. This moment isn't about satisfaction, it's about validation. Patricia appears at my side, speaking quietly. You should join Harrison in 15 minutes. He'll call you. Exactly 15 minutes later, my phone vibrates with a text. When I enter the conference room, Leonard is gone. Harrison stands by the windows, his reflection multiplied against the city skyline. Miss Morrison, he says, turning to face me. Please have a seat. I sit down, keeping my expression neutral despite my thundering heart. First, I want to apologize on behalf of the firm. What you've experienced contradicts our core values and undermines our ability to serve clients effectively. I maintain eye contact. Thank you for acknowledging that. What happens now? That depends partly on you. He sits across from me. Leonard has been removed from his supervisory position, effective immediately. He's been offered a lateral transfer to our compliance division with no direct reports. His acceptance is pending. The news lands without the triumph I might have expected. Instead, I feel a strange emptiness, the absence of a weight I've carried for years. Harrison continues, we're establishing a new strategic innovation department focused on predictive analytics and long-term client success. The executive committee has asked for my recommendation on who should lead it. My breath catches. I'd like to recommend you, Miss Morrison. You'd have director-level authority equal to Leonard's former position, with a mandate to implement your methodologies across all client engagements. You'd report directly to me. The offer represents everything I should want: recognition, authority, the power to implement my ideas without interference. Yet something gives me pause. Before I answer, I say carefully, I need to understand how this happened in the first place. Not just with Leonard, but with a system that allowed it to continue for 4 years. 6 department heads in that meeting nodded when he called me inadequate. HR received my concerns and did nothing. This runs deeper than one supervisor. Harrison nods slowly. You're absolutely right. That's precisely why we need someone like you in leadership. Someone who recognizes that operational solutions require cultural ones to succeed. He slides another folder across the table. This is the complete proposal for the new department. It includes budget for you to build your own team and authority to audit our current client management processes across all divisions. I open the folder, scanning the details. The position offers substantial power to implement structural changes, not just methodological ones. My first assignment would be conducting a comprehensive review of attribution practices throughout the firm. I need 48 hours to consider this, I say. Of course. Though I should mention your first project would include reviewing all strategic recommendations attributed to your former department over the past 3 years, with full authority to correct attributions and recommend compensation adjustments where appropriate. The implications are clear. I would have the power to ensure everyone who had their ideas stolen receives proper credit and compensation. Not just me, everyone. I'll have my answer Thursday, I say, standing to leave. That evening, I sit on my apartment balcony, watching the city lights twinkle in the darkness. The vindication I'd imagined feels different in reality, more complex, more weighted with responsibility. I call my mentor, Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the professor who first recognized my analytical gift. They offered me everything I wanted, I tell her. Authority, recognition, the chance to fix the system. But, she asks, knowing me too well. But I wonder if I want to stay in a place that required this much struggle before seeing my value. Elena is quiet for a moment. What would you tell a student in your position? The question clarifies everything. I'd tell them that sometimes transforming a broken system from within is more powerful than walking away. That their experience gives them insights others lack. Then you have your answer, she says. This isn't about forgiveness, it's about transformation. You've earned the right to create the environment you needed but never had. Thursday morning, I accept the position with 3 conditions. First, that the firm implements transparent attribution protocols for all strategic work. Second, that they establish objective promotion criteria based on measurable contributions. Third, that they create an independent review board for handling attribution disputes. Harrison agrees without hesitation. When can you start? Monday, I say. I'll need the weekend to prepare. My first month as innovation director passes in intensive activity. I assemble a team including 2 colleagues who had privately supported me during Leonard's tenure. I request comprehensive documentation from the past 3 years, not just final reports, but every draft, every email, every meeting note. When certain department heads resist, Harrison intervenes personally. This review has full executive support. Any obstruction will be noted in the final report. By week 6, patterns emerge. Leonard wasn't unique. For other supervisors show similar habits of claiming subordinates' work. More disturbing are the demographic patterns in whose ideas get appropriated and whose get credited properly. The data tells a story of systemic bias masked as mentorship and collaborative development. I compile findings methodically, including recommendations for structural changes and specific instances requiring correction. The report identifies 31 employees whose contributions were systematically minimized or misattributed. For each, I include a rectification plan with appropriate recognition and compensation adjustments. The day before presenting my findings, I receive an unexpected visitor. Leonard stands in my office doorway, visibly uncomfortable. "Do you have a minute?" he asks. I gesture to the chair across from my desk, maintaining a neutral expression. "I've been doing considerable reflection," he begins. "The past 2 months have been illuminating." I wait without offering assistance. This moment belongs to him. I've realized that my behavior was inexcusable, not just toward you, but toward others over the years. He places a folder on my desk. This contains my own audit of projects I supervised. I've identified every instance where I failed to properly attribute contributions. The admission surprises me. "What prompted this?" "Your promotion announcement included your mandate to audit attribution practices. I realized I had a choice about how to face that process." He gestures to the folder. "This doesn't undo the damage, but it's a start toward accountability." I open the folder, scanning its contents. His assessment largely matches my findings, with several additional cases I hadn't yet discovered. "I appreciate this initiative," I say carefully. "It will be incorporated into my final report." Leonard nods. "I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know I'm committed to changing how I work with others going forward." After he leaves, I sit with this unexpected development. His acknowledgement doesn't erase 4 years of struggle, but it represents something significant, the beginning of actual change. The following week, I present my complete findings to the executive committee. The room falls silent as I detail the patterns of attribution failure and their impacts on both innovation and employee retention. I outline specific recommendations for systemic changes, new documentation protocols, attribution requirements for all strategic work, and fundamental adjustments to promotion criteria. Implementation will require significant cultural change, I conclude. But the return on investment is clear. When people receive proper credit for their innovations, they produce more of them. Our current system actively discourages the creativity we claim to value. Harrison speaks first. "These findings are disturbing but necessary. I move that we implement Ms. Morrison's recommendations in full, beginning with the attribution corrections and compensation adjustments." The vote is unanimous. Over the next year, I lead the transformation of our innovation processes. We implement clear attribution protocols, restructure reporting relationships, and create transparent advancement criteria. Most importantly, we establish real consequences for supervisors who claim subordinates' work. The most powerful change comes through public corrections. In a firm-wide meeting, Harrison announces formal recognition for the 31 employees identified in my audit, including retroactive bonuses for significant contributions. The message is unmistakable: this behavior will no longer be tolerated. Leonard remains with the firm in his reduced role. He becomes an unexpected ally in the transformation, speaking openly about his past behavior in management training sessions. His example makes it harder for others to deny similar tendencies. 18 months after that fateful strategy meeting, I stand before our annual client conference. Richmond and Associates has just announced record profits with client retention at an all-time high. New methodology adoption has accelerated by 43% across all practice areas. Innovation thrives on attribution, I tell the assembled consultants. When people know their ideas will be recognized, they share them freely. When credit is stolen, creativity goes underground. This past year has proven that integrity and profitability aren't competing values, they're complementary ones. As I scan the audience, I spot Leonard in the back. He meets my gaze and nods slightly, an acknowledgement of how far we've both traveled. My revenge wasn't his destruction. It was transforming the system that enabled him, creating something better for everyone. After the conference, Patricia finds me by the reception area. "You've created quite a legacy here," she says. "Any regrets about staying?" I consider the question seriously. Revenge would have been leaving them to continue failing. Justice was helping them evolve. This wasn't just about setting things right for me, it was about ensuring nobody else experiences what I did. She raises her wine glass in a subtle toast. "To transformation, then." I smile, touching my glass to hers. to transformation. If this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever been in a situation where your contributions went unrecognized? How did you handle it? Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't destroying your opponents, it's transforming the system that gave them power in the first place. Your worth isn't determined by others' recognition, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't fight for it when it matters.